All right, all right, all right. What is up, everybody? Let me make sure this is working. I'm going to check the sound here. All right, all right. Can everybody hear me? Are we good? Look at the green screen on my Connor Ward hat. That's funny. It's peeking into the background there. Woo! How is everyone doing? Can y'all hear me okay? Just want to make sure y'all can hear me. I am it's kind of rushing here. I'm going to adjust that just a little bit. Make sure everybody can see okay. The pink shirt is so dreamy. That is right. We are coming in. My goodness. My goodness. All right, everybody. For those of you that don't know, look, I can flip this thing around backwards and it's just gone. It's gone in the world. I blend into the background like dust. All right, everybody. For those of you that are new here, welcome to the Grass Factor live stream. This is a live show where I like to talk about things that are going on in the lawn and garden. I left a / out on the carbonearth.co link. I see that. Good work, Matt Martin. So this live show, again, my primary focus is on turf grass. However, I do feel comfortable diving a little bit into ornamentals. However, for most people, I think they tune in to learn a little bit more about the grass they got in their yard. So this is your first time here. It's an open format. Open format meaning you ask questions, I give answers. Feel free to post your questions in the chat, and I will get to them as quickly as possible. I am usually behind when I'm answering questions, so bear with me. Now we're going to move on to the next segment of the show. For those of you that have been here before, you know how it goes. It is time for the roll call. And real quick, I'll go down here. Troy Scherer was actually first. So big what's up to Troy. Thank you, good sir. You were actually first with a warm Eric Von Waddell was in number 2 with a big hello. How are you, good sir? Gravy Train is in here. Lambert is in here. John Teague is in here. But best Tiff Grant Bermuda Lawn in Tennessee for show, he says. Ryan Norris here. What's up, Ryan? Josh Miller. Velvet Hammer dropping the hammer. I hope you're beginning to see grass up your way there, buddy. I know you're eager to get out on it. Miss Cat Bird Feeder is here from down yonder in Mississippi. How are you, ma'am? Mr. Schultz. Steve Wright. What, Cat Bird Feeder, what are you doing? We don't need to get into that right now. Steve, how are you, good sir? Glad you're here. Gene Ducati DeClo, how are you, good sir? Glad you're here. Troy Scherer's got more jokes in the chat, I see. Lush Lawns, how are you doing? St. Louis Lawn Guru, Lush Lawns. Oh, Lushy. J Pink. By the way, J Pink, I'm not using open source software, and it was not an issue with the software. It was getting the kids to bed. It says Super Chat Rewards. Yeah, hey, it's one of those things. Ridge Runner 1776, that is not first. Ryan Schultz is here. Hoosier Blue. Aaron Watkins. Man, what is going on, sir? Ty Purden. Hey, man. Ty, I'm not sure I recognize your name before. If you're just tuning in, I'm glad you're here, good sir. Make something that kills Bermuda and not St. Augustine. I'm not a chemist. I don't know how to do that. However, I would recommend a professional that is willing to dive into some very experimental applications of atrazine and progress. Whoo! It would get squirrely. I will say that. And even then, I doubt it would work all that well. Bird Dog, how are you, sir? Glad you're here. Glenn Stevens. Still snowing up in upper New York. Oh, man. Tall Fescue Junkie, Mr. Wassenauer. Mark Macchione, how are you, good sir? Dave Reese 6, get some of that melatonin. Lakeland, Florida in the house, Floyd. I had a buddy down there. Where's Real Dad? Real Dad was in Florida. I think he was actually in Lakeland, Florida too. Sun 420 is here. Jerry Morris, what is going on? Hey, Emma. Hey, you made it from the Discord to the live stream. I gotta say, it's the first time seeing your name in here. Glad you're here. Man, look at all these people. Steak and Shake, Josh Kelly, woo, Chris Waugh, Benchmark Turf Management. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, my hat is disappearing. This is my Connor Ward grass hat, and it's green. And I've got a green screen behind me. And if you look over this shoulder, this is standard urea in this beaker here. And if you look over this shoulder, this is a specialty homogenized urea and ammonium sulfate known as, I believe this one is actually Stimulus. There's another product out there on the market, too, by another manufacturer. It comes from Europe, Amidas. So I've got some beakers of test material back in the back there. You know what I'm saying? Woo! Brent Sherrod, hey, what's up, man? Glad to see you here. The Green Doc is here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and plug this right now. Next week, Green Doc is going to be live on the show. Green Doc and I will be doing a live stream together. It's going to be fun. I'm pumped. So, again, for those of you that are just tuning in, this is the show where I like to answer questions. So, please feel free to begin throwing your worst, nastiest, most intense questions you could possibly have about turf management in the chat. I would love to go down the road. I will preface this and say I don't know everything. I know a fair amount, but there are lots of people out there that know way more than I do, and I rely on them to make it through this show. If I do not know an answer, I have no problem telling you I do not know, but I will try and think it out and rationalize logically how to come up with a solution that I do come up with. That being said, I'm not always correct. I make mistakes all the time. Be prepared for it. So, let's get in here. Look at this. Hoosier Blues. Consider mowing but didn't have any gas. Had to get leaves off the lawn, but with overseeding and all the next product I put down in the lawn last fall appears to need a trim. Time to cut it, he said. It is time to cut it. So, it looks like we've got some things coming in here. And at the Fume Saint Dismissed did a great job on my POA. There you go. Keep at it, Gene. Keep at it. Let's see. I threw down a bag of Ringer Lawn Restore this weekend. That stuff smells like stale bread, ready to thicken up grass. Throw her down. Yep, that's a good start. That is a good start. Throw her down today right after my 65 WDG Prodiamine and Speed Zone. Let's hope my turf type tall fescue wakes up. That's a good start. It's probably about time to maybe throw a little bit of food to it, Mr. Watkins, if you plan on doing that this spring. Jim King, glad you're here for the live stream. I'm here. Okay, thanks, John. I appreciate that, Mr. Falcon. I round up my lawn and waiting for my sod. I clean my fence with chemicals to prep it for stain. Can those cleaners, chemicals be harmful to the new sod since it's in my soil? Sod goes in a week. Probably, Bird Dog, yes. However, one thing you do have to your advantage is that those are likely hydrocarbons, and they will vaporize relatively quickly and make their way into the atmosphere rather than building up in the soil. They can deposit oils in the soil, which can be an issue. I've seen where they've come in and spray stained fences and left a perfect strip of dead grass all the way around it. How long will it persist there? I don't know. I do not know. How do you kill mouse ear, chickweed, and henbit in a turf-type tall fescue without killing any grass that is only 6 months old? Also, do I use a surfactant with your recommendation? Gary, what I would do is use a 2,4-D ester-based product like Speed Zone or something that contains triclopyr with a 2,4-D, and you'll be fine. If it's 6 months old, it's got a decent root system. Triclopyr and ester-based formulations are not very hard on tall fescues, so you can have at it with that. 6 months is not anything I would worry about. Gibby's here. What's up, Chris? You made it. I do not know the answer to your question, Gravy. I'm just going to blow right over that. What's up, turf nerd? David Watkins is here. Let's go on. Let's get on down here. Can I drive up to Carbon X plant and get a pallet of fertilizer? Miguel, probably not right now. Everything that is manufactured is out of the door. We cannot make it fast enough to get it out the door fast enough right now. So, unfortunately, no, sir. You would not be able to do that right now. Matt, can you develop? No, I cannot, Dave Reese. I don't think so. Dean Miller, fungicide. When? When you are in high pressure situations for fungus. So, let me explain that. If you're concerned about brown patch and you want to be preventative about brown patch, when you're talking about spring fungus, depending on where you are, you may be dealing with like dollar spot and stuff. And it's probably still a little bit early for dollar spot. But you have to look at when you're approaching your conditions for the development of the disease you're worried about getting. The only other time you would apply fungicide would be curative. So, I don't deal a lot with dollar spot, so not a ton of experience managing it. However, like for instance, brown patch is something I've got a lot of experience with. And for me, I start looking for 80-degree days and 60-degree nights. That's my thing there. And if it looks like I'm going to have 5 to 7 days continuous of that, then I'm looking to make my applications 2 weeks, 3 weeks before then. And again, I like to use a 28-day control product, so that's why I time it that far in advance. However, if you're using something that's contact or the systemic activity is relatively short duration, you probably want to do that closer to the development of the disease, so maybe a week before you predict it to be there. Is liquid sea kelp monthly applications beneficial for my lawn, or am I wasting my time? John, it is beneficial, and it's beneficial for lots of different reasons. So I went down to Mr. Bertram's question there, and I got sidetracked. Yes, you can. And in fact, that was what the Virginia Tech studies talked about specifically, was monthly applications of humic and sea kelp. Sea kelp is going to be loaded with growth hormones. It's going to keep the plant in a state of regenerative repair. So one of the big benefits of sea kelp is its ability to help the plant fight senescence. Senescence is the aging of the plant that can occur. So, yes, you are doing good things by doing it. Also, it's a good pre-stress conditioner. It can help fight the onset of localized dry spot. So, yes, you're good to go with that. How does sulfentrazone act as a pre-emergent? What rate does it begin to become a pre? It's kind of a hard thing to answer there, because it doesn't necessarily just act as a pre-emergent, but what bit of persistence that remains in the soil does have that pre-emergent effect. It kind of gives you that duration of control, and that can happen really at rates as low as 4 ounces, but you're not going to see the same impact that you would at, say, 12 ounces. So, but if you split that up into 3 applications of 4, 4, and 4, then yes, you will begin to develop that soil profile with your PPOI that will help fight some of that. Is it effective with broadleaf weeds? Yes, it is. Some, not all, some. Specifically spurge, I don't know the answer to that. I would say yes. I would say actually I would say it's probably relatively non-selective in terms of what does attempt to establish. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question. Have you seen the new Scott's Foundation product, Coconut Biochar? Really? No, I have not, but that sounds really interesting. I'm glad you brought that to my attention here, Stephen Jester. I'm going to look that up real quick. Scott's Foundation Coconut Biochar. And I will do some reading into that. I will say, as a biochar source, coconut is a pretty good source. So kudos to them for getting into the game. All right, let's see here. Hey, man, could you explain why you aren't a fan of T-Zone? Okay, I know I kind of raised some eyebrows when I say that. There's nothing wrong with T-Zone. It's actually a good product. I really like T-Zone as a broadleaf herbicide. Why I'm not a fan of T-Zone is due to the number of times I've gone into a supplier and been recommended T-Zone to control sedge. T-Zone is not a sedge product. It contains sulfentrazone, which is a sedge product, but it's only at about a 1.92 ounces per acre rate. That is half of the lowest rate in dismiss. So, no, it is not a sedge product. It is a really good broadleaf weed product. You mentioned... man, look at these questions coming. I love this! I love it! You mentioned in your video earlier that you used it on dormant zoysia and Bermuda. Is atrazine safe for growing zoysia? Lambert, I think it is, but it's going to be very, very heat sensitive to the atrazine. I believe zoysia is a little bit more tolerant than Bermuda grass. Well, it's definitely more tolerant than Bermuda grass. But again, consult the label on that. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. But I believe it is. Ray may be able to help you out there in the chat on that one too. Matt, what do you think of new hybrid bluegrass in the Charlotte, North Carolina area? I'm thinking of it if my fescue dies out again. Jim, if your fescue dies out in the Charlotte area, your hybrid bluegrass is probably not going to be a good fit. If you have an area where fescue does fine, then you probably would be good to continue or to make that transition over to a hybrid bluegrass. They have it in Knoxville at the Turf Research Farm, and this last year when I saw it, it was all pretty much smoked. That being said, it probably recovered pretty significantly in the fall and looked okay. But I would not make that transition in the Charlotte area if your fescue is dying just due to condition extremes. Let's see here. What is the application rate for ammonium sulfate for Bermuda grass? Stuart, it depends on how much nitrogen you want to put down. So if you want to put down a pound, then you put down, roughly 5 pounds per thousand. If you want to put down a quarter pound, then, you would put down 1 pound per thousand. It really just depends on how much you want to supply your Bermuda grass. Can I make a triple or quadruple pass of mechanical aeration? I'm St. Augustine grass. Thank you. Yes, absolutely, Ronald. You definitely can. No problem there. I have Bermuda grass and I need to get rid of undesirable grassy weeds with something that is affordable. What would you recommend? Probably the best thing on the market that's affordable right now, Bert, would be something called Negate. Pay very close attention to the mixing instructions. It is not... You have to mix the entire container first and then use that to dilute into your spray solution. So read the label and pay attention to those mixing instructions. But Negate is probably the most affordable. In Bermuda grass, though, typically what I'm doing this time of year to get rid of undesirable grassy weeds would be low rates of Roundup. So 16 ounces to the acre would be good to go. I have several mature trees in the yard. Is there a three-way I can spray near them without harming my trees? Perry, yes, you can spray it with a three-way, and you probably will not harm your trees. Just understand that by nature, a three-way or a broadleaf weed control will affect the tree in one way or another. If it's mature, though, chances are that tree would just chew it up, meet it out, and not be an issue. I assume you have cool season grass if you're having trees and you have grass, so a three-way herbicide is not going to be high enough concentration to take down your trees. Just saying. Yeah, my hat's on the green screen. The floating forehead. Permagreen settings for Carbonex, full pound, half pound. Chip, I would say probably 24 for a full pound and probably 21 for a half pound. Progressive mowing down of zoysia. Should I mow lower than planned height to help get more green, or will the zoysia eventually green up in those spots? It will, but you can definitely scalp it down. No issue there. Take that baby all the way to the dirt. Just don't dig it up, but take it to the dirt. My lawn is matted down after winter snow. Is raking lightly advised, or is it better to let it wake up naturally? Mark, it depends on how much time you have. You're not going to hurt anything by doing it as long as you don't actually pull the grass out of the ground. But you're going to increase airflow down and probably help it heat a little lower, get rid of that insulation layer. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, you can definitely do it if you want to. I put down urea at 2 pounds in last fall in split apps, probably 4 to 5 pounds total. Too much for fine fescue. Can I get away with a nitrogen gap year, like just using micros and humic? Probably not, Gravy, because nitrogen isn't that persistent in the soil. Your extra will wash away or nitrify, and then it will be lost into either the atmosphere or run too deep to be utilized. So, no, you probably could not get away with a nitrogen gap year. Look, Ray said, take it all the way down. Doing it gradually ain't for Zoysia. What makes Solucal faster release than other calcitic lime? Lambert, it has to do with their polycarboxylic acid formulation that they tout. I don't know. Ridge Runner and I were looking at this, and I don't know. I'm having some second thoughts on Solucal. Now, the way they do formulate it is that it is grinded into a pretty fine micron material before it is granulated. And then it's granulated with a lignosulfonate to kind of give it that shell. And so I would say that, are you really going to notice a difference between Solucal and other limes? I don't know. I plan on applying a split application of Prodiamine WDG and using Milo for the first time when the soil warms up and throughout the summer. I plan on applying this and using Milo for the... What do you recommend for a first spring app? Benjamin ZBT, I do not know what kind of grass type you have. I do not know where... Screen froze. It's coming back. Frozen screen is repaired. We'll be back soon. Yeah, you're going to have to give me more information than that for me to answer that question. Benjamin ZBT. I need to know where you are, what's your grass type. All of those things will be beneficial to me. Would you avoid ammonium sulfate in Houston summers? I really like this since you educated me about I'll run high pH. No, I would not avoid ammonium sulfate. I would just apply more frequently at lower rates. Will the fulvic acid in RGS act like a surfactant or make a spray hot? It could, Chandler. Can't say I've firsthand, just without a doubt, using RGS had that problem, but I will say that I used to use this other humic product that I would mix. What was that? I think it was Apex 10 that I was using that definitely would heat things up. I won't think it would work so much quite like a surfactant, but I know when I use Apex 10, I could definitely tell a difference when spraying herbicides with it. Particularly, so I made the switch and actually began using it with fungicides. Again, that's not rooted in science. That's purely just speculation there. So take it for what you want. Get the strobes down for patch diseases in the soil beforehand. That's right. That's right. Not looking forward to the rake. Easiest way to prevent dollar spot is adequate N, 4 to 4.5% leaf tissue content and daily removal of dew. There you go from the Ohio State University Turf Man. Everyone kind of knows Ice Bank. Miguel, I know. It's my got grass hat. It's doing the thing with the green screen. I apologize. All right, that jumped down. Let's see here. Front lawn of Fairway PRG, seeded in fall and looks amazing. I'd like to try and keep it alive through summer, but worried he could kill it. Have huge shade tree helping, but any tips to keep alive? No, because you're dealing with the genetic limits of the plant, so not really a whole lot you can do there other than water. Maybe do like some syringe watering to try and cool that upper soil surface. However, if your soil temperatures are getting up to 80 degrees or so, it's just going to be a giant struggle. So, again, I would look to syringe watering, light waterings during the hottest part of the day to try and mitigate some of that stress and wilt that will occur. Chris Martin's wanting to spray some weeds around a rose plant or any shrub of that matter. Will 2,4-D affect the shrub if I get any on it? Yes, Chris Morton. In fact, if you get probably near it, it will affect it too. So just be careful with that. I would not use 2,4-D. I would probably use something like I would use glyphosate and glyphosate. Hi, Matt. Have you ever sprayed ammonium sulfate, ferrous sulfate, and Primo Max in the summer? If so, what rates would you go in at? Yes, I have. In fact, I killed my centipede grass in Augusta, Georgia with that exact mix. And I was doing it way too often, and the whole goal was to see if I could kill the centipede with nitrogen. But, yes, so I would... What is your source of ferrous sulfate? Are you using a powder? You may go like 1.5 ounces or something like that. And your ammonium sulfate, I would probably not exceed more than 1/4 pound of N. And your Primo, I don't know what grass type you have. I'm assuming Bermuda grass. The way I usually spray Primo or T-Nex is I start with... like last year I did 6 ounces, then 8 ounces. These are acre rates. 6 ounces, then 8 ounces, then 10, then 12, up to 16. So that was what I did last year, and I always have good success increasing my rate as I go that way. What is the recipe for homemade headway? If you're using a 22% active ingredient azoxystrobin, you would use 16 ounces of that. And if you're using a 41.8% active ingredient propiconazole, it would be 16 ounces of that per acre. Located in Southern California. Yeah, man, I don't know. That's going to be a tough one, dude. Let's see. Is Carbon X okay to use when laying sod? Tall fescue. Yes, Chris, you would be fine doing that. Just don't go crazy with it and just load it down. My area is doing away with glyphosate. We just had an equipment demo by FoamStream. It uses hot foam to kill weeds. Do you or anyone have any experience with this product? No, Todd, but if you're using heat to kill the weeds, it is probably a, it'll burn the top off. Like you'll see some people use torches. I know Ray likes to use torches. So, you can do it. It will work. It's just not a permanent solution. I've not seen the new Speed Zone formulation, but some people were talking about it, and I believe it has dichlorprop in it, 2,4-DP, which is a little bit different product than 2,4-D. So, but it still should work as effective, if not more effective, than previous formulation, and probably be a little less drifty. What's up, fellas? Anyone familiar with Armortech Tryon? It's a generic form of tenacity. Want to get some info on where to order it, and anyone has a review. I've never personally used it, but Armortech sounds like that is going to be a generic label from Advanced Turf Solutions, I believe. I can't remember, but I believe it's from ATS, and it's mesotrione, so it's probably fine. I'd say you could get out there and get after it with it. HGT Blue is great here. There you go. Having good success with it in Raleigh. When you say Roundup, is it another word for glyphosate? Yeah, I kind of use them interchangeably. Roundup, glyphosate, same thing. Roundup for lawns is not something that even comes into my brain because I've been so force-fed glyphosate as Roundup for so long. Will I be okay overseeding this spring with tenacity and throw down prodiamine after grass pops up? Turf type tall fescue here. Eric, yeah, after you get a couple cuts on it, yeah, you should be fine to do that. T-Ware homemade headway is pine azoxy, 41% PPZ. There you go. If I put down a bunch of biochar in the late fall, what's the best thing I should throw for in now that everything is melted and waking up? Whatever cheap as in you can get, John. How many pounds of N should I be throwing down on my turf type tall fescue to wake it up? Hampton Roads, Virginia. Aaron, there's no amount of N that will wake up your turf type tall fescue. It's your temperatures that will wake it up. Making sure when it does have the temperatures that there's plenty of N there will be great. And you could do that with a 1/4 pound of N. You could do it with 1 pound of N. Typically I would do like a spring app of like a 1/2 pound to a full pound, depending on what I did to the yard that fall. If it had a good N rate applied the previous year, then I probably do my first app with like a 1/2 pound. Hey Matt, got a stand of pines in the backyard. There are some vines and brush growing out of the straw under the trees. Can I spray something to clear the underbrush? Yes, if they're pines, then yeah, you could. I would probably use like a 2,4-D product, and if it's cold outside, you can even use triclopyr with your 3-way product. Let's see. Whoa, we jumped down. Any suggestions in my program for spurge? I don't think prodiamine is cutting it anymore for spurge. Gallery is too high a price point. Since it's a late germinator, it's hard to hit with a blanket spray. That would really only be your only other option is to go with Gallery. And if you can't run Gallery, you may want to try running like a later application of pendimethalin. So maybe like a May, June application of pendimethalin may help you out there. I think it'd be better than prodiamine, but I'm not sure. Apex 10 will make your mix hot because it's higher in fulvic. There you go. Since it was asked about T-Zone, why don't you like Surge? Price, or is it the mix is less effective than something like Speed Zone for the price? Yes, Jim Keen, it is just less effective. It is... First, Surge has about a 40 ounce per acre rate of 3-way in it, and less than 1 ounce per acre of sulfentrazone in it. So, in my opinion, the amount of active ingredients in it is just too low. And again, it was also sold as a damn sedge product, which just drives me crazy. Surge is fine. If it were me, though, I would probably be spiking it with something else. Let's see. Matt, did you spray your prodiamine out of your Permagreen? Yes, Lush Lawns. I did every application out of my Permagreen. I sprayed everything out of my Permagreen. Fungicides, prodiamine, everything. Matt, you really need to put on a green turtle so we can see what's behind you. It is, if you want to see what's behind me, let's see here. I may be able to do this. It's just a green screen. Not a whole lot going on there. Okay, I am currently working my Bermuda down to scalp. Does it hurt the plant doing it over a few mows rather than all at once? No, you won't see a difference whether you do it all at once or do it over a few mows. Typically, I say just do it once if it's a scalp. I mean, it's already mostly dormant. Just take it to the ground and be done with it. What's up, Long Guardian? What are good post-emergent herbicides that can be used in Bermuda for POA? Okay, so the Long Guardian, sulfonylureas are going to dominate that market, and you're going to be looking at things like sulfosylfuron, which is Certainty, Forum sulfuron, which is Revolver, trifloxysulfuron, which is Monument. I can't remember what the active ingredient in Katana is, but I don't think Katana has a residential turf label. I think it's only Pro Turf. And then Negate, which is rimsulfuron and metsulfuron methyl. I think those are going to be about your main options there. I read I shouldn't use treated water on my plants and to use bottled water instead. Should I use bottled water to water my lawn? Also, I have no idea what you're talking about, Gibby. Look at Ray jumped in here and he answered it with greatness. Let's see. I was watching Jerry Baker and he says use Epsom salt mix with your fertilizer and apply the fur at half the recommended rate. Will that work? If you are deficient in magnesium sulfate, then there you go. It is, so the whole makeup of Epsom salt is magnesium sulfate. So if you want like a temporary greening effect, or you're trying to remediate something in the soil, yeah, you can use Epsom salt. But in terms of like, from the way you're describing it here, is it going to help your fertilizer and cut your fertilizer rate down by half? No, that it doesn't work like that. Go Gator, says Future Farmer. Oh, look, OSU Turfman jumped in. Look, throwing some heat at Jerry Baker. Epsom salt is BS. 24D, 24DP, and dicamba. Super Trimec, Speed Zone, Southern SC adds Carfincher Zone. I love the Super Trimec. Yep. What's up, Lawn Care Nut? How are you, sir? Pre-recommendation, I did one app of Monument to my dormer Bermuda lawn to rid it of fescue and poe a couple months ago, but 5% remains. Bermuda now has 80% green haze. Do second app or leave it? You definitely can do second app. Monument is not non-selective. It is very selective. So you can spray it over top of Bermuda pretty easily. Only one that thinks this view is Star Trek-ish. I'm wearing a green hat. It's my Connor Ward hat. And yeah. So there we go. Does anyone here have an affordable recipe for compost tea? I'm looking to make 50 gallons at a time at minimal overhead costs. I can pay for the recipe. I do not have one. On Propiconazole, be careful. 41.8. It's formulated with petroleum-based inerts. Can get hot. Better off using newer microencapsulated 14.3 AI. Yeah, and I will say that. If you are... 41.8 has petroleum distillates in it, and it can be very hot. I have definitely stunted the fire out of some grass with it before. In fact, I sprayed it really late in the afternoon one time, and this is like in September, and absolutely smoked the grass to the ground. So be careful. Be careful. Whoa, we're jumping around. If I ask for... What is the best weed killer for a zoysia grass lawn? There are tons of them, Joel. What weeds are you dealing with? And I can recommend a weed killer. Eric Hazen, how long does it take weeds to become resistant to a pre-emergent? I'm just starting and don't want to create a future problem. There's no answer to that, Eric. There's no answer to that. And it's not that just your lawn will they become resistant to it. It's everywhere. So the problem is that weeds now have spread that already contain resistant genetics. So like they're doing the big study again on POA and showing how POA is just not responding to prodiamine. And this is super widespread everywhere from the coast to the Mid-South. So it's not that weeds in your lawn are going to become resistant to it. It's that there's an actual genetic mutation taking place, and that's spreading throughout the nation. Katana is labeled for residential, but spot treating only. There we go. Heading back from watching the Bassmaster Classic in Knoxville, will turf dye help get rid of some of the orange off me? No, the orange that's on you actually will seep into your blood and will begin to take over your life, Chandler Hall. Thoughts on liquid potassium applications to lawn? They're great. I mean, it's part of a program, though. So understand, if you're making liquid potassium applications to your lawn, you're doing so because your lawn needs potassium. If you're doing it just because you think it's going to change something, it's not going to really change anything unless your plant is actually looking for potassium. So understand that part about it. It's not like you're like, hey, you know what? This year, I'm just going to start throwing liquid potassium on the lawn and forget everything else. We're just going liquid potassium. You're not going to see a difference. You're going to create a problem. So understand, it's a tool in the overall toolbox. It's not the new toolbox. Let's see here. We love you too, Lawn Care Nut. What's up? What's up, Hey Jack? Regarding my previous question on FSAS and PGR, have you ever tried that mix with fungicides, and up until what time in the day would you consider doing that? I would do it in the morning or late in the afternoon. Heat of the day, I mean, it depends on what your temperature is outside. Yes, you can mix that with fungicides as well. No problem there. Always do a jar test first to make sure it is okay and safe to do. You got tank mix compatibility there. What's the approach for preventing POA A in fescue in fall? I know meso is okay for fescue seeding, but I heard it doesn't do much for POA. Should I do meso, then 30 days later, prodiamine, pinning, and dithapir? Yeah, you can. There's just not really a whole lot of good solutions. The other one you could add to that would be ethofumicate. Ethofumicate can be used as a pre-emergent for POA in fescue in the fall. However, I don't know what the tolerance would be like that during seed establishment. So, yeah, I mean, that's a pretty solid plan there. Hey, Matt, T-Zone doesn't seem to be working on the bittercress. Should I add an additional sulfentrazone to it? Sulfentrazone is low for bittercress, but T-Zone alone isn't. T-Zone should be smoking bittercress. You could add more sulfentrazone to it, or it could be just the fact that T-Zone is going to be really slow this time of year, too. So I would probably give it a little bit of time. If it hasn't been 3 weeks, then chances are I hadn't had enough time. Let's see. Whoa, we're getting closer down here. We're getting close. Didn't wear a green shirt. Also, looking had your hands full trying to manage. Can I put down my second round of prodiamine, lime, aerate, and water in at the same time? Yes, you can. Yes, you definitely can. T-Weave. Do you have a recommendation on how to get rid of the snow in my yard? As soon as I get it under control and get rid of it, it just keeps coming back. I do not have any recommendations for you. The lawn care nut, John Borden, is gone. He had to step away for a couple of days, and I believe he will be back on Wednesday. But he needed a break, so we're gonna give him a break. That's for sure. He's out there saving lives. You know what I'm saying. What are your thoughts on using tenacity and overseeding in the spring? By the way, I live in Chicago. It's great, Vladimir. If you've never seen Ryan Knorr's video about it, he shows successfully how to do it. There are several pros that do it when they have to as well. So my buddy Chris Elms, Appalachian Turf up in North Carolina, loves tenacity and using it for that reason and has great success with it. Joel says, trying to fix my father-in-law's lawn. He has a lot of different ones, and his neighbor, St. Augustine's, creeping in. There's a lot of these ones with tall, skinny, cute, play tiny little flowers on it. Buddy, that I do not even know. You'd have to email me some pictures. Let's see. Doesn't do much for POAs. Ethofumicate can be applied at overseeding, per the label. Matt, is your Carbon X fertilizer for sale yet? Yes, it's only available to the pro market right now. It's not available to the homeowner market. And would that be a suitable replacement for starter fertilizer if I'm doing an aeration and overseeding? It depends. Do you need phosphorus? If you need phosphorus, no, it would not be because it is relatively phosphorus free. Yeah, it is his fault. What's going on, Scott K? Glad you're here, sir. Hey, man, you are very welcome. Neighbors are now reaching out to me for answers. Matt, can you rate your favorite to least favorite turf grasses? Yes, my favorite is Zoysia. Sorry, Ray. And I would go... I would have to go Meyer Z52 Zoysia. I mean, the old tried and true. I don't know why. I love it. I love it. Then second would be Bermuda grass. Now, I don't know. Tied up there, the newer hybrid Bermuda grass is going to be way up there too. Maybe it's just a general Florida Zoysia fix plan. Hang on, I'll get to you in just a second, Joel. Yeah, so hybrid Bermudas are going to be up there at the top too. John Teague here has got Tiff Grand that looks just absolutely awesome. Then after that, I would say probably Tall Fescue. And then St. Augustine. and then Centipede. But Tall Fescue, St. Augustine, and Centipede are like way down here, and Zoysia and Bermuda grass are like way up here. So there's a big wide gap there in the middle that I just don't like or anything. I knew Ray was going to say he doesn't like Zoysia. Man, I applied MSM a few weeks ago when we had 70s for a few days. My few wild onions are still growing strong. It probably needs more time. MSM is very slow. Give it time. Okay, so if you're trying to convert it just Zoysia, probably the best thing you can go out with in a early cleanup application would be a combination product of Celsius and Revolver. I mean, that's just a good come out, blow it all out, Celsius and Revolver app to get rid of anything and then start making the transition over. If you need a little extra heat, you could throw in a little bit of 2,4-D into that mix to give it a little better knockdown power on some broadleaf weeds. But if you've got the temperatures, yeah, Celsius, Revolver, maybe a 2,4-D kicker. And that would be a good first app. That would be pretty freaking strong. I hate common Bermuda. It's like walking on spikes. You know, Scott, it depends on how it's managed. My backyard is common Bermuda, and it is nothing like walking on spikes. But, you know, it's also, you know, growth regulated to all get out. It doesn't even, by midsummer, it doesn't even look like common Bermuda anymore. Tiff Grand all day. Look at that. I thought Ray was supposed to be a guest host tonight. It's going to be next week. He's got to get set up on Skype, and we're going to do it next week. Kentucky bluegrass gets no love from you Southern boys. Nah, it doesn't. I've very seldom see it done well. And I kind of group KBG in with turf type tall fescue, and I know that's not fair. But I just don't have the experience, so I can't really give a whole lot of information on it. Will prodiamine last through September better by applying split apps in Feb and April, or Feb and May, or does it matter? It really doesn't matter. Just get your AI down. I don't think you're going to see much of a difference between those two timings. Give me turf type tall fescue all day, he says. Ryegrass. Look at this. Look at this. No love for KBG. I live in Washington, D.C. area. Do you recommend 100% tall fescue or 90-10 fescue Kentucky bluegrass for my region for seeding? I have no idea. I would probably say, Lushy, what are you doing? Stop it, Lushy. Man. If you've got, well, in your area, I would say, yeah, throw some Kentucky bluegrass in there. Just to tell you, too, it will begin to patch out over a period of many years. But at least for temporary color sakes, you know, yeah, why not? Throw some KBG in there, man. Let's see. Will Celsius work on POA? Yeah, no. Yes, if it's really hot outside. If it's 85 degrees and POA's on its way out and you spray it with Celsius, it'll help take it on out. But if it's not 85 degrees and not on its way out, no, it will not work on it. Turf type tall fescue, turf type tall fescue, turf type tall fescue. How about that for 3 times fast? Have a good one, Long Guardian. Glad you got to tune in, buddy. Let's see. Do you use different apps for the Zoysia and Bermuda? Yes. Well, basically, I'd kind of keep the applications the same, but it would be different rates of products that I was putting down. Yeah. If you say turf type tall fescue 3 times, Lushy, quit it. Stop. Unnecessary, sir. Unnecessary. Tiff Tough, Tiff Grand, and Lat 36 for the win. Those are pretty strong right there. Can you recommend any rhizomatous tall fescue blends? Man, I'm going to make you sweat. You're an ass. Jerk. I'm sweating! Okay, rhizomatous tall fescue blends. I will say the one I have experience with is out of Oregon, and it is... They're all out of Oregon. I don't know why I said that. Mountain View Seeds. Mountain View Seeds is who I have experience with, and I've used a lot of theirs, Valkyrie, Screamer, I buy a bunch of them that are over there, and had great success with it. I will say this year I'm not seeing the aggressive fill out that I saw last year, and that was 1 year after seeding. So I'm thinking the second year it will not spread as aggressively. And when I say just swelling in size to eat up area, I don't think you're going to see it that strong the second year. I don't know. No, you're not, Gravelback. Stop that. Let's see. I love how you make him test his compressor settings. Of course you'd get that, Ryan. That would be your joke. Matt, you think my GCF gifts I received from a special someone last year is still good to use this year? It was a big gift. Yeah, buddy, you were fine with it. That is funny. I'm going to sneeze. No, I had like 30% in each one that I would get, and I'd get it from Dickens Turf here locally in Knoxville. But it was roughly 31 to 33% of each. I mean, it was pretty much distributed right through there. And I get Mountain View seed from Dickens, a local distributor here. And I will say this. If you contact Mountain View Seeds, they will tell you the distributor in your area that carries them. No, they're... I don't know. Are they from Mountain View, California? I think they're from Oregon, man. Let's see. Mountain View Seeds. Salem, Oregon is where they are. Salem, Oregon. Yeah, you cannot buy directly from them unless, you basically sell yourself as a distributor, and, you have to, take however many pounds, we'll say like 1 million pounds or something to guarantee your material. So, yeah, it's best to just contact them, find out which distributor you get it from, and do that. Let's see here. Man, this is rolling. Absolutely rolling. What's up, Jake? How are you, sir? Jay for life. What is going on? Give her... United Seed has amazing blue certified turf type tall fescue cultivars. No weed or other seed. There you go. Anyone tried Higher Bricks fertilizer? Same fertilizer Pete uses from GCI Turf. Vladimir, it's a good fertilizer. I looked... froze the camera again. It'll come back in just a second. Eric, I don't know yet. Don't have a firm answer on that. What are your thoughts on mycorrhizae with seeding a new lawn? If you can incorporate it into the soil, it will work well. If you cannot incorporate it into the soil, it will not work as well. Because, yeah, it's coming, AV guy. It's coming. Well, it still hasn't unfrozen yet. There it goes. There it goes. I didn't hit the button hard enough. What was I talking about? Okay, mycorrhizae. Yeah, so it's going to be very stable in the soil. Outside of the soil, or trying to apply it to soil and expecting it to get to the root zone is going to be very difficult because it's going to live off the roots. So if it has nothing to live off of, it's not going to last a very long time. So there you go. Higher Bricks is a good fertilizer, Vladimir. It's got a lot of different materials in it, and it basically kind of covers the whole gamut of everything just going down at one time. Man, I hate to bring up a sore subject. Should I hold off a week or two for Carbon X or go for something else until it's available through Alan and Pete? That's a good question. I have no idea. I would probably go for something else until it's available. I mean, that's really going to be the only thing I can say about that. Can anything be applied to control grassy weeds in a drainage ditch that is almost always wet and can't be mowed? Yeah, you could apply glyphosate, and you could probably wick that on to keep from killing everything all the way at the ground level. But yeah, that's really going to be about it. No, there's going to be other aquatic herbicides you could use that don't have the restrictions on it. I don't know any off the top of my head, Texas. I do not. Should have stayed with OBS. It's not OBS, it's my camera, Gibby. My camera has a 30-minute or 20-minute timeout that it has to cut off. It's a Canon camera issue. It's not my software. It's Gibby. It's not my software. I am doing chroma key. You like that? My hat is blending in to the background there. Russell, any way to get Bermuda out of St. Augustine without a kill-off using atrazine to try and stunt for this St. Augustine? Done a lot of hand weeding over the morning, now getting major over buttonweed. Just FYE. Okay, yeah, atrazine and Progress combination apps like that is going to be about all you can do. There's just not really any other way to go about that. There's not a lot of good surefire options on that, but I would look at the fumicate combined with atrazine to try and take that out. Now, we talked about Turfus Quick Dry top dressing on Discord a while back. Can you explain the benefits of it? I was waiting to use it in that area where the neighbor's sump pump drowns. It's just one of those things, John. It's a calcined clay, and so it's very absorptive and can pull and move moisture really quickly. So it's not something I would use on turf, really. Like, very rarely would I recommend ever using that on turf. That would be one of those situations. We have used... Listen, John, I see that. I see that. I don't need better streaming software. My streaming software is fine. In fact, I'm not even using open source software. I think I said that earlier. I can't remember. The Rebel commercials with Andre Agassi. I've never seen those. So, yeah, it's so I'll give you an example where we used it. We were dealing with we needed to lay sod in this backyard, and the soil had taken in so much water. It was like, I mean, you just couldn't help but sink in it. And we were laying sod on top of it, and I mean, just every step you took was moving it which way and which way. And so we put down just tons and tons of turfus to help firm up that surface. And it worked, and the grass actually performs really well there. So... there you go. Dicquat and waterways, but danger. Yeah, that sounds danger. Matt, don't blame Canon. Yeah, they all have this 30-minute thing. Where's the best place to buy the products? I just found your channel today. I watched a lot of your videos. I have St. Augustine, and it is beautiful. Just treated nutsedge out of it. I have no idea where to buy them. I can tell you that it is. You'll probably find a local supplier somewhere to go and get it, but I honestly I don't know where you are, and I don't know where to recommend you to get it. Yeah, I got rid of that Panasonic camera. I need to call Jimmy Cox back and go back and get it. Matt, can you please tell John corrugated drainage pipe is no good? John, corrugated drainage pipe is no good. What would you rather him use, Richard Nettles, for a drainage pipe? I guess if you're going to tell him that, we need to know that. Triple wall instead of corrugated? I like that, OSU. I don't know. Which way do you want to go? All right, everyone. Let's see. How far are we into this show? It is 10:07. I know I started late. Does anybody have any other questions before we start to wind this down here? Let me see. There was one thing I wanted to do, and that was to give some shout outs to one of my favorite places to eat. I have a friend, two friends, it's a husband and wife combo, up in Iowa, Hiawatha, Iowa, and they own this store, ThatOneCupcakePlace.com. without a doubt, the best cupcakes I ever had. And John Pinkerton and his wife are two of the most fine people on earth. Support them. They're a small local business, and they are doing it. And they put out just a fantastic product. Everybody show this some love. John, I'm not going to bring down a couple more buttons. Matt, will you live in my shed and do my lawn apps? No. I will not. Sewer PVC. There you go. Yeah, sewer PVC does fine. Yeah, it does have awesome cookie dough. Everything I've gotten from them is just out of control. So we got to use some of their blank cupcakes for Christmas and have the kids decorate them, and it was an absolute smash of a time. The kids absolutely loved it. And they ship basically anywhere. They have to overnight it, and they get it to you. And they don't have egg products in some of them, so it will hold for a couple weeks at a time. And it is great stuff. T-Weave, real quick, the benefits of Humic is that it's a chelator. It has the ability to bond to things. And there's also another component to the Humic, and that's the fulvic portion of it, which can be taken in foliarly, and depending on what it's bonded with, can help drag things into the leaves as it moves into the leaf. So, yeah, that's basically it. Is real simply, it's a chelator. There are some great videos on YouTube. In fact, Paul's Prime Cuts has an awesome video on humic acid that talks exactly about that. So I would check out Paul's Prime Cut and check out his video on humic acid. Best way to eradicate wild violet and creeping Charlie on cool season lawns. Vladimir, I just did a video called The Ultimate Guide to Broadleaf Weeds. You should watch that. I talk specifically about wild violet and creeping Charlie. Have you had scrambled jakes on North Shore? I have not. Are you happy that UT on the other side of the bracket from Auburn? No, Kevin, I'm not happy about it. And we're not going to talk about the Auburn game, but I never got anything for TOCC. Oh, you should. You should definitely get something from them. I am taking you to Giordano's for some deep dish pizza. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Love me some Chicago-style deep dish. Thank you, Jim Keene. Thank you. Live in my basement. No. All right, everybody. That is going to bring it to the end of the show. Hop on over. Show that one cupcake some love. And here we go. Best recipe for Canadian goose. What is Canadian goose? Isn't Canadian goose isn't that a jacket? Canada Goose? I don't know what Canadian Goose is. That's out of my league, man. That is out of my league. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in tonight. I really appreciate it. I will be back again next Sunday with Ray the Green Dog himself, live and in person on the live show. So, to everybody, we'll see y'all next week. Thank you. Take it easy.